should be going off in like... Oh, perfect, it's just gone off.
Oh, look at that. What a professional.
Perfect timing. Actually, that was quite significant. Like, my like, resting levels have, like, dropped, like, quite significantly. I know decibel's, like, a logarithmic scale, so it's, like, less of an impact, but still.
Yeah, imagine it's quite like a drone as well, isn't it?
It's a nightmare. It's, like, really, like, inconsistent as well. Like, so if I move the door too much, it, like, the sound changes. It's quite fascinating. Like, I'd love to know the, like, reason why.
It must be... So what? So
hang on, before we have this conversation, shall I do the sync clap and we got content?
Okay. Go on then.
If we need to scrap the part about my bathroom fan, we can always bin that bit. It might not make the best opening.
Right, we'll see.
I'll make it brief.
I've drafted an intro in my head, but I have no idea. I'll try and not fuck it up.
Do your proper intro, then we'll do the bathroom fan. And then if the bathroom fan's too boring, we can bin it off and pretend like it didn't happen.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Hello and welcome to the Scrambled Checksum podcast. I am one of your glamorous hosts, a nerd about pretty much everything from space and terrestrial transportation to consumer technology and computers. This podcast you will hear us ramble on about pretty much anything we want to, as long as it's nerdy and full of unnecessary detail. With me is a man who needs no introduction.
Hello, I am one of the other hosts of the Scrambled Checksum podcast. Like Ethan, I'm a nerd about pretty much everything, and I watch a ton of videos on YouTube about science and technology facts, then proceed to forget and mix them up in my mind, so anything that I recall from them is absolutely useless.
One could say even that you scramble them.
Hey, absolutely.
Hey, we did the thing where we referenced
the title, yeah.
where we referenced. Oh, look at that.
Well, we referenced half of it. It was kind of like a, we scrambled around reference there, but it's good enough.
Well, maybe that's all for the best. Anyway, on to the second or first topic that we might talk about. We totally didn't cut anything out, or maybe not cut anything out. I wanted to address a concerned listener from our previous episode.
Oh no!
If we, or more of an offended or upset listener.
Do I need to dab on a hater?
I would hesitate.
I've never dabbed in my life.
Have you not? Even ironically?
No, not even ironically. Not even once. It's become like a thing now. Where like if I did, it would have to be something so significant that like it's like when you have a bottle of like champagne or like whiskey or whatever, and you save it for best.
Right.
But then like you never drink it. It just sits on the shelf for the whole time because you're like, oh no, I'm saving that for best. And then like, I don't know, your kid grows up and graduates college and you're like, I don't know, this is like a 20-year-old whiskey now. That's not special enough. Let's save it for best.
At some point, it'll come back into fashion, and then you'll just be like the coolest grandpa ever.
Or you're on your deathbed and you finally drink it and you're like, crap, I let it spoil.
Oh, dab on the haters! Oh, I can't lift my arm.
Anyway, that's me and my dabbing. I've never done it in my life.
Anyway, you might want to before you cast judgment on the offended listener. You might want to wait to find out who it was.
Okay.
I think
I know.
I heard tell that, and dear listeners, you may not have heard. This might actually be the first episode of this esteemed podcast to grace your ear holes. We don't know if we're going to release the pilot yet. Maybe we will at some point for a small fee, like a Patreon subscription or something, because we are that money hungry. But
buy it on tape.
We'll release it on cassette, and we'll also I don't know, buy the rights for making cassette players from Sony or something.
Cassette and Laserdisc.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. We could go on a huge tangent here. We could go on a huge tangent. Kieran, we must stay on topic.
Yeah, okay.
We must stay on topic. We must address this offended listener.
A concerned / offended listener,
yeah. Offended listener about certain comments that I may have made regarding the usage of certain Android devices.
I knew it.
From a certain OEM. And their worthiness of being referred to as an Android user.
This is the Samsung device thing, and you said, along the line, I'm paraphrasing you here, I don't know if you've got your exact quote, but you said something along the lines of, like, it was something like you're not really an Android user if you have a Samsung device, or you're basically an Apple user, or something like that.
I do not remember. It was definitely something to that effect, and I just want to say to anyone out there,
you said anyone that uses a Samsung is an absolute moron. It definitely that. It was definitely, I hate all Samsung users.
Maybe okay. If I did say that, I wish to retract my previous statement. However,
all Samsung users are clueless fools.
I would just like to say to any Samsung users out there who are listening to our podcast, maybe on said Samsung device, that I accept that you exist, and I'm sorry that you were upset.
I mean, the episode will never go out, so I mean, you could have said anything. Maybe you said that all Samsung users got duped into it by the K-pop themed advertising.
All I'm gonna say is the only Samsung users that I am aware of in my immediate life, other than this person who complained, are people who aren't particularly tech savvy.
See, now this is where I don't think you can wholly judge a device by its user base. I think that
oh yeah, iPhone.
I know, but I think part of that is that this is like a chicken or the egg thing though, right? Because I think a part.
What came first, the moron or the iPhone?
It's not even that, right? Because it's I think that the device manufacturers obviously play into their user base.
Yeah, okay.
But I think more than that, with Apple, right? They make the decisions first, and then the users have to choose whether they want to accept it or not. With the headphone thing, right? It's they made that decision, and then it's it's almost like a power move, right? When they made that phone that was, I think it was it the 6 that was so thin that it bent in people's pockets.
Oh yeah, Bendgate.
It's they made that decision to make it that thin, and they were like, "Are you going to accept this? You're still going to buy it?" So it's they drove that, and I don't see they've got their. They're not perfect, but I don't think you can say that they're not Android users, because the stuff's still there, right? It's just Samsung flavored. It's not more basic.
Okay, yeah, you might
Bixby's possibly, but Google Assistant's caused me issues before, and it at its heart, I know there's it's still got the Google Play Store, right? You can still install Android apps on it. To me, that's still an Android phone. This is where you're going to tell me they've just released an update where it's
yeah, they've just released an update where you have to use the Galaxy Store now. No,
yeah.
You wait.
They
put
their stuff on there, but a lot of them put their. I'm not I feel like I'm apologizing for them a little bit there, but
yeah, just
a lot of.
We won't say what relation to Kieran this person has, but it might not be a wise idea to upset them.
I just don't see it. I don't think you can say that someone that uses a Samsung phone is whatever it was I said before about them not.
In all honesty, I think I've had many a month to reflect since we recorded the pilot, and I do think that I may have spoken too hastily without proper consideration of all the nuances of the very difficult and complex issues, and I'm very sorry if you are a Samsung user.
We'd all love to have I'd love to have a fairphone, but it was unfortunately out of my price range.
Yeah, it's just such a. Oh, I looked at them, and even cool. I'd be willing to stretch to it, and to be clear, just for context, I believe the fairphone it's around 500, 600 euros, I believe. Whatever
it's not an iPhone level flagship cost, right?
Well, it's not really a flagship, is it? It's
no.
Not. I mean, that's the problem I have with it, is it's kind of well into mid-tier pricing, creeping towards what used to be flagship killer price before flagships became over $1,000.
Yeah, it's a bit like the framework laptop, in
but
that
its specs are low tier, not complete piece of garbage low tier, but they're not They're like your, I don't know, like your Moto Gs and that sort of thing.
Like, for the money, I think that's the problem. It's like, if I tolerate the spec if the price wasn't quite so sharp. And, like, I get why it is, but, like, I feel like it's so early days. I'm hoping that they'll come down in cost.
I feel like they've got to, because, I mean, one part of me is like, yeah, right, okay, I get where it is. Yeah, they provide the warranty. But other than the warranty, like, I mean, if the battery's replaceable, like, I feel like if I want to use, right, so like, lithium-ion batteries, yeah, happiest between about 30% and 80% state of charge. Yeah, or, well, 50 to 80% really, but, like, if you want to realistically get any usage out of it that's close to acceptable, you know, 30 to 80%. So, what I feel like they could do is just kind of go, look, right, we expect the phone itself to last, I don't know, X number of years, but we also, if you are going to want to get the full, I don't know what the battery size is, I'm guessing it's somewhere between like 3,000 and 5,000 milliamp hours. If you want to get that full capacity on your daily charge, you are welcome to, but just know that your battery is going to be shagged after 2 years.
It's a tough
However,
one, though.
like, you can choose to set your phone to have a buffer at the end, and then it probably won't die. But we won't warranty it because, you know, but it probably won't die, but you can replace it super easily for this much. Like, charge me for a new battery, and if I want to use it in a way that's going to wreck it, that's on me. But, like, educate, and then don't charge me a premium because you're warranting a part that is prone to failure if you charge it improperly.
It's such a tough one, though, right, with the, like, warranty thing. Because, like, if I could have a bit of a hot take here and you know, devil's advocate a little bit, like, if you're Fairphone and you're saying, like, oh, certain users won't get the batteries warranted if they want to use it in a certain way, like, first of all, like, you're going to get a percentage of users where the battery's defective, and their first experience is probably going to be like a level 1 support tech or level 1 customer service telling them, we don't warranty your battery because our records indicate that you used it in this way. They're going to then go, like, and you just know it's going to be someone with like a pretty big following on YouTube or something, right? They're going to then go, like, Fairphone told me they're not warrantying my phone, and then they'll come and do like a 40-minute video on how
I'm not saying don't have a warranty at all. I'm just saying have a shorter warranty for a part, because essentially yours, when you, like, if you're guaranteeing a part, it should be kind of, the guarantee should be like the expected lifetime, I think, is like, I mean, it's not the way it generally works. But, I mean, we know that, like, most smartphones, the thing that dies in them the quickest is the battery. And that tends to happen after a couple of years, doesn't it? With, like, if people are charging it to 100%. So I'm not saying don't have a longer warranty for other parts, but if the battery's replaceable, is it really that much of a problem?
I guess if it's replaceable and the cost is good, but you just know, like, even with, like, it's not just about your charge either, right? So, like, imagine you're like a, say, North American user in a state where it's regularly really cold, and, like, let's say that you work outside a lot, you're out in the elements a lot for, like, say 6 months of the year, and it's cold. Like, that's also gonna take its toll on the battery, right? It constantly being in that kind of, like...
But that'd be true of any phone, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but, like, if you're having this, like, tiered warranty thing, and then you just, like... I can just see it as well, someone being like, oh, what are they... Oh, they're tracking my charge usage and...
Oh, no, no, I'm not saying the warranty at all is based on tracking.
Oh,
I'm just saying have a set warranty, but you can educate people to say, look, we'll guarantee the battery for 2 years because that is the average lifetime expectancy of a battery if it's treated kind of as a normal person would, which is just wang it on a charger when they go to bed and leave it sat at 100% for fucking forever. And yeah, we'll include a piece of software that will, you know, intelligently figure out when to get to 100%, or you can manually set it, or you could set it to only ever charge to 80% or 90% or whatever percent you want to set it to, and we'll provide ample information saying, right, well, we know that our batteries are happiest between these percentages. And so we'll say that if you do this, your battery is very likely to last longer than 2 years and still be very healthy. But because we believe in privacy and we don't want to track your battery usage and all that stuff, we will only guarantee it for 2 years, because if you're irresponsible, you might wreck it. Like, I mean, that,
cool.
I feel like that's
no problems with
I feel
that.
like that's fair enough, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's like I'd wholeheartedly support that, actually, because that's just like educating users at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And like, if you want to be a tech-savvy user and like use your battery in a way that's like going to prolong its life, you can do that, and you're not going to have to replace it as often. Or if you want to just like, if you're one of these people that's like constantly wants to be fast charging it because you've left it and you need it real quick, then you're going to harm the life. You just buy the replacement.
Yeah.
And yeah, you still get a warranty. Yeah, and like they kind of eat the edge cases where it's like X user, I don't know, had a battery that happened to die a bit earlier.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know for certain, but I imagine, like, you know, if a battery's defective, it's probably going to fail within the 2 year period, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Or like it's gonna like die really quickly, or like obviously have like a fault, right?
Yeah, because I'm not an expert in battery, but you would have thought, particularly with like a battery that's being highly stressed, like a battery that's in a smartphone that's being pretty much drained to zero, then pretty much charged all the way up to 100%, as in its actual 100%, not like an electric car. For people who don't know, in like electric cars, I mean, it varies from manufacturer to manufacturer. Like, I believe Tesla actually do allow you to charge to 100% of what is known as the, I believe, nominal capacity, which is basically the actual capacity of the battery. But then they don't let you drain all the way down to 0% of the actual battery. When it says it's at 0, there's still, I don't know, like 5% or something. But most manufacturers have a buffer at the bottom and the top. So when it says it's 100%, it's actually like 95%. And when it says it's 0, it's actually 5% or something like that, to protect the battery. So that it's not being pushed to these extreme limits, because that's when the most degradation happens. You get these things called, so you've got the anode and the cathode. I always forget which one's which. I feel like the anode is the positive.
One's plus and one's minus.
Yeah, I think, but it can be different as well. They swap roles when you're charging compared to discharging. But anyway, whichever one's which. Basically, you have an anode and a cathode, and then you have an electrolyte or something in between them. And basically, degradation happens where when you charge a battery or discharge a battery, basically you've got ions can pass from, again, I can't remember which one, the anode or the cathode, to the respective anode or cathode, but electrons, the reason you have ions passing from there is because electrons can't pass through it. So an ion is obviously, can be an atom that's missing an electron or gained an electron, can't it, I believe. So the electrons go round the circuit and then meet back up with the ion at the other side, because they can't get through the electrolyte. And that's basically how the battery discharges. And when you charge it, the opposite happens. But as you do that, it's not a perfect process. So some of the ions get left behind and form what these things that are called dendrites, growing off, again, either the anode or the cathode. I can't remember which. And basically that's what degradation is. And those are more likely to form when the battery is in high stress scenario, like very close to 0, or very close to full. I think because of like resistance increases or something like that. And also in like extreme conditions, like very cold or very hot conditions.
Oh, thank God I wasn't wrong about that. I thought I just made that up.
Yeah. I think. Well, you might still be wrong. Remember what podcast we're on here, Kieran. You might still be wrong. Yeah, but yeah, basically, I mean, dendrites are the degradation thing, and so like in a smartphone, I forget where I was going with, but yeah, in a smartphone battery, they don't have those buffers because the battery's so small. Like, essentially, I mean, an electric car has lithium-ion batteries. Same as your phone, same as your laptop. There's lots of different variations on the chemistry, so they'll be slightly different. But essentially, an electric car has lots and lots and lots of the cells that are in your phone, kind of. massive oversimplification, but essentially a battery pack in an electric car is lots and lots of little cells like that. So because there's lots and lots of them, they don't have to push them to the top and bottom to get a decent amount out of it. But because you say space constrained in your phone, they push them as hard as they can, and traditionally most people got rid of their phones after a couple of years anyway, because smartphones were moving so fast.
Not anymore though. Saying about the phone capacity, I had a YouTube ad the other day for the Google Pixel, and it wound me up in a few different ways. First of all, it was the one with the guy. You've probably had this. There's a guy, and he's like, he says that he's on Team Pixel, and he says at the start of the ad is him basically saying, "You've got Google Maps, you've got Google Docs. Why not have a Google phone?" And it's like, cool, yeah, why not have a Google life? Why not live in a Google house, drive a Google car? Why not just surrender to Google?
Why not give us all your data willingly?
Yeah, exactly. So I find that part specifically frustrating to listen to.
I've not actually seen that. Maybe
it's all, he's sitting in like a white background, and he's like, well, you already use Google Maps. Why not just, go to a Google hospital, give him your Google blood, give him your Google DS. Like it's like that's his logic. I know he didn't come up with it. He's reading a script, but yeah, it's like that part I find specifically frustrating, because it's like such a weird it's like saying like you drink Coca-Cola. Why don't you live in a Coca-Cola house, you moron?
Yeah,
why are you simplifying your life?
Yeah, why don't you just drink nothing else?
Yeah, you use Cherry MX keyboard switches. Why don't you drive a Cherry MX car?
Yeah. I wondered where you were going with that one. I was like, why don't you drink Cherry Cola?
Why don't you drink Cherry MX Cola? What are you, some kind of idiot?
No relation.
Why you got all these complexities in your life? Use all these different brands.
Yeah, simplify your life. Just surrender to the corporate overlords.
Yeah, look, just surrender to all one thing. Yeah, it's like, you... yeah, it's stupid. Anyway, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Talking of Google though, and them wanting you to use their things, ChatGPT. Do you see the connection here? Do you see the segue?
Seamless.
Google has been scrambling, in such a way. By the time this podcast comes out, this is ancient history, and it already, to be fair, at the time we're recording, I mean,
it's already.
It was a few weeks ago at least, but.
The war's over and we've already lost to the AI. It's fine.
Yeah, I presume. You heard about Google's disastrous unveiling of Lambda.
I did, but I saw a really good take on that. Again, I'm tempted to just make up facts about it and hope that they come true in the future, and then that way we might not be as out of date with it.
So this podcast is recorded in 2030. The robots have been ruling now for.
It was super weird when they did the demo of Lambda, right, and it killed that presenter. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, what was that all about? Christ, I guess it's early access. I still signed up to the beta, so hopefully those issues will be resolved, and it'll just be a minor maiming by the time that I get my access.
Yeah, I think I can afford to lose a few fingers to be part of the robot revolution.
Yeah, how else am I going to get confidently wrong answers on the internet? It's not like that's been happening for years. Saying about their demo, I mean, I could just ask a question on anyway. No new websites. Anyway, speaking of their don't name names. Speaking of their demo, I saw a really good take on it, which was that because it's Google, they couldn't release anything that was ChatGPT was, and the Bing ChatGPT was still super raw, and the take on it, and I wish I could remember which video it was. It might have been Cold Fusion, but the take on it was that Google couldn't release something that was raw because they're the market leader. So if they release something that's raw, everyone's going to be like, wow, Google suck. But with Microsoft Bing, it's it's already a joke. What are they going to do? Make it more of a joke? What's the big deal? So they could afford to release a half-baked product. Whereas Google,
I hadn't actually considered that. That
really
makes a lot of sense. So yeah,
and that's not to say that because from what there was that thing in the news about where the guy that worked in Google thought that it was sentient. It was so good. So it's hard to believe that it was. I think part of the issue with the demo was it was just so hastily planned. I think
it was clearly a rush. Rush.
They couldn't find a phone at one point, right?
Well, I think that was the thing. They just, whoever was responsible for putting that on stage just didn't, and so they didn't actually have a live demo of it.
Yeah, so it's that's not the technologist's fault. That's just
no.
They put it together in a rush and they didn't rehearse the demo enough. But like, yeah, well, it wasn't super impressive, was it? It was a bit like.
I have to confess, I haven't actually watched the demo. I
haven't seen the full thing.
I've not quite gone full Linus style and only read the comments, but
I've only seen clips myself. But like, from what I've seen, it's like, cool. So what?
Yeah.
Like, it was a very short part of a longer presentation, I believe, and like, yeah, it was just not that exciting. The Google Assistant demo that they did however long ago that was, the live one where it called and booked an appointment for you, that was way more impressive than...
That sparked way more existential dread in me. I remember when that first happened, I was like, oh my god, okay, we are like round the corner from disaster at this point.
I still don't know if they ever shipped that. Like, I don't know if I could do that right now. Like,
if you've got a Google Pixel, yes, but it turned out to be not very good in the real world.
Was it one of these things that was like region based? So like if you were in LA, there was like did the business have to sign up for like we let Google book appointments? And
I
stuff,
can't remember. I think because I had a Google Pixel for work for a short period of time, and it did come up with when it comes up with a little notification banner at the top of the screen when you got an incoming call. You have answer, decline, screen call with Google Assistant or something to that effect.
Okay.
So they did at least have that bit. I don't know whether they had their hey Google, sorry, hello Alphabet search engine, book me a hairdresser's appointment at my local establishment, beauty salon, with extra pampering of my nails, please, or whatever.
Yeah, it's like I don't.
Big on fashion.
That was way more impressive than what they showed. Yeah. For their like. Chatbot tech, but ChatGPT. So I've got some takes on ChatGPT. I know we're out of date with it, but still.
So your just to be clear, your takes, are they based on ChatGPT 3.0, which is what we got back in November, December last year, as the open alpha or whatever it was, or are they based on the now release? I believe you can now pay OpenAI to have access to ChatGPT 3.5, which I believe is already way better. So
it's funny you mention that, because my take is actually based on none of those things.
Bing GPT.
It's actually not based on that either. It's funny that you mentioned the question of what version it uses, because that would be very pertinent in relation to my take. So to give some context, unfortunately, I work in a world which requires me to keep abreast of things that people occasionally post on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So seeing the corporate world's reaction to ChatGPT was incredibly depressing. It was more depressing than any ramifications of ChatGPT for the future. Okay. Like that was more dystopian. It's like, I don't know if you'll have seen any of this, because it's like very much isolated to these like complete tossers on LinkedIn.
I only very occasionally go on LinkedIn just to have a quick scroll through, usually just to add people as connections who I work with, so I can stay in touch with them, So
like the corporate world has gone friggin' buck wild for ChatGPT. They're like, it's like changing their lives. So it's as though these people have like just discovered the smartphone. It's like this kind of like, or like they've invented the wheel. They're like, guys, look at this. I ask it a question and it gives me a basic answer. This is phenomenal. It's like, dude, you could have Googled that and like read one article, but the fact that it just condensed that information down and presented it as an answer, and like it's clever. Like, I'm not to take anything away from the tech. It's clever, and like the natural language models, like it's like it doesn't often get like it doesn't often give you stuff that's completely incomprehensible, if ever. But
I don't think I've ever seen an answer that's completely you don't ever get like I don't know, did you ever use the Cleverly chatbot back in the day?
I use similar chatbots, and they would like, you occasionally get stuff that's like, that doesn't make grammatical sense.
Yeah, it'd just be complete scrum. Like I've never had something that doesn't make grammatical sense. I've only ever had like, okay, that just doesn't answer my question, or okay, this is clearly wrong.
Yeah, so it's like it gives like good answers, right?
Yeah.
And like they're well written, but it's like it's not groundbreaking really. The answers it gives you, the technology is really clever, but the answers it gives you, like,
It can't give you an answer that didn't already exist in some way. Can it? It can just find the information much quicker than a human can, and then summarize it from multiple sources into a nice snappy.
But like these guys, they're like, God, I wake up in the morning and they're like, I told ChatGPT to come up with a business plan for me, and I said come up with a business plan for my company to scale 10x, because that's what all these people want to do, right? They all want to scale 10x or 100x or something x. And it's like it writes some generic bollocks about like marketing, probably from like aggregated from like 15 different websites, with also generic bollocks about like scaling a business, and they're like acting like it's so insightful. It's like, partner, I don't know what to tell you, but
like I'd love to see what happens, like if you could just, like, I don't know, separate them off into some kind of simulation where the world remains this, like, I don't know, the same as it is now for us, but for them we can just accelerate 10 years and to see what happens to them if they follow that business plan. But assuming, I guess, like no other progressions in technology in that little bubble, and just like see how hard they fail.
It's so funny, and it's like they
maybe I'm being are we being pessimistic?
I'm pessimistic for their prospects with, like, you know, typing into basically a aggregated search engine, tell me how to live my life. But like the funniest part is that they're all like making products based on it as well. This is what I say, the funniest part. It's actually quite depressing. So like there's a bunch of people who are making all these products based on it, and like they'll do stuff like, my product generates prompts that you can put into ChatGPT to give you amazing answers that like you'd never have considered. It's like, dude, it's
like you do realize that, like, yeah, like that is just an entirely, like, your product is going to be completely obsolete by the time ChatGPT is, like, you know, fully fledged.
It's like another. It's like, I don't know if this was ever a thing, but it's like if when search engines first started getting actually good, if people were like, hey, I've got a company or I've got an app that'll generate search engine queries for you. All you got to do is ask it a question and it'll rephrase, like it'll do like a site colon search. It'll do, like, literally, you know, like the stuff you can do on Google.
To be fair, you need that if you try to use pre GPT Bing. You need someone to professionally format your search query so you can find.
I think a more valuable service is having them go through all of the like top ones that are irrelevant and taking you to like page 4 where the like stuff that actually answers your question.
Or maybe you could pay someone to Google it first and then
verify
and then like Bing it for you, like, but in a way where Bing couldn't possibly fail to give you the link that comes up at the top of Google.
They just do like a site colon search for the exact URL.
Yeah.
On Bing. But it's like. Was that ever a thing though? Genuinely, because it feels like that's all that there's like hundreds of companies spinning up, and it like. I don't think they have any kind of technical knowledge because they all just use ChatGPT. They've not built anything of value. They're just like, if you type your question to us, we'll make you a query and then it'll give you the answer.
But how are they even doing that though? Like
they're just like, there's some kind of like front end for it, or I'm not quite sure how they work. Because God forbid.
Have they just manually created a database of prompts that they've tried?
I don't think they're manual. I think what they do is. I think that they'll use ChatGPT they'll chain requests together to ChatGPT, I believe. So like they'll submit a request to say generate me a prompt for ChatGPT to answer this question. Then they'll use that prompt and they'll put it in again and they'll put like generate me a prompt that's similar to this. Like there was one guy as well that was like his whole angle was that like his company would take text that came from ChatGPT, run it through a different AI language model, and ask it to basically just reword it in such a way that it would pass like checks on whether it was AI written. And it's like, that's completely worthless as a service.
It's like it is just like any. Whenever you get some like big. Yeah, it's just people trying to cash grab, isn't it? At the end of the day, like they're trying to cash in. Like I mean, there's probably some of them that aren't clever enough to realize that their business isn't sustainable, and they think, this is it, this is how I make it. But
The
I
sad
imagine
part is they get like a quick cash grab, right? They'll make some money on it,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't really matter because their overheads are so low. But like,
there's
as
always
wonderful
going to be
as-
people who are going to capitalize on things like this.
Yeah, it's like the whole crypto thing again. But it's like as wonderful as apps and stuff are, it's like I feel like this didn't used to be a thing back with like older like tech innovations. So like if you look back at like the internet, it was like, oh, it's just for techies at first, and then it slowly kind of filtered its way down. So like there wasn't people that were like, oh, phone my hotline and I'll go on the internet for. I mean, maybe there was, but like, was there ever like a hotline you could call and you'd like ask them a question and they just Google it? I know there was like people that would do that with like encyclopedias. Like you could ring them up and they'd like look something up in like an encyclopedia for you.
That's actually a useful service, though. That is like pre search engine. That's actually.
But like when like Wikipedia became a thing, were there people that were like, hey, there's this new website called Wikipedia. Now what my service does is you ask me a question and then we format your question as a search query into Wikipedia, and then using its wiki engine, we deliver you the result. It's like, that's just complete bollocks, right? You'd hear about that and you'd be like, this is worthless.
Is it maybe though, but without the key technology of like the internet, that you just there's never really, before the internet there was never really a marketplace for these
where you could
types
mass
of people.
peddle garbage.
Yeah, like, because I mean, it's just like a I don't know, like it's like a scattershot, right? And it's like they're throwing like a load of shit in loads of different directions, and like as long as enough percentage of that shit hits someone in the face, then it's a win.
True.
Right? Like it's only like the same as like, I guess prior to the internet, you get like the like door-to-door salesman, didn't you? Like go round.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to
like
buy
that,
some tea towels? No, fuck off. If I wanted tea towels, I'd have gone to the shop, bought some tea towels.
This is Tupperware 3.0.
Yeah. Not a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, we got a new vacuuming. I'd really want to go back to like 1999 now and like, because I guess it was the same thing back then with everyone saying like .com and internet. It was like, oh yeah, we're like so and so. It was like it's like the same thing with like chat. I think we're gonna look back on this as like another like .com bubble of where like everyone's like, hey, we're AI chatbot powered, and what like everything's got to be AI powered now. But it's like,
it's such a buzzword though. It means nothing. Like yeah, our service is powered by AI. Like what? Yeah, but what does that mean? What does that mean?
And half the time, it's probably not even like a true like AI powering. It's probably just like an algorithm someone's written.
Well, exactly.
Like,
yeah, AI gets used more often than not to describe just we have a computer algorithm.
Yeah.
Congratulations. What do you want? A medal?
If you ask us a question, we'll run it through like some language processing and like match it to our closest FAQ. So that's definitely AI powered.
Yeah.
Like some of it's really cool. Like the Adobe Sensei stuff, as much as I hate on Adobe, like their stuff actually I assume does use like some kind of AI, and that works really well with like masking and like auto green screen or whatever they call it. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean there are genuinely useful, like I don't know, it's hard. I don't really know exactly where is the line between just a very sophisticated machine learning algorithm and AI.
It's a difficult one, and I'm no expert on the subject. Like,
because they're not the same thing, are they? I know that.
No,
but like
and
I feel like a lot of the stuff labeled as AI must just be machine learning.
Because like you wouldn't call, I don't know, would you call like Google's algorithm an AI? Like just the general Google search one? Like is that? It's not really, because it's like, from what I understand, it's just like a really really complicated algorithm. But then doesn't it use some AI elements? Because it's got like a billion signals or whatever. It's like super complicated, right? It's like, is that an AI? Is it not? Because it predicts stuff.
Kieran, I don't know. I don't know.
It uses your data and it predicts. Anyway, it's
because there's so many buzzwords. Like you've got machine learning, neural network, artificial intelligence, like, and they're not all the same thing, but they seem to get used interchangeably to the point where I don't even know. Like
I think the sooner it goes the way of like NFTs, the better. Like other than the underlying like good parts of the tech made by people that actually understand it.
Hey, you know what
Like-
you know what you can't funge?
What's that?
This podcast.
Exactly. Completely.
Go on, try.
Completely. Can't even. Yeah, not even a little bit fungible.
I dare you to try and funge this podcast.
If you see an NFT, well, no, because what if we tried to do like a cash grab in the future?
Rug
I was going
pull.
to say if you see an NFT of this podcast, it's fake, but it might. If you see an NFT of this podcast, we've sold out.
Yeah,
or it's
we've
fake.
sold out. Judges harshly.
Yeah, or it's
We
fake.
deserve it.
In fact, no, it's definitely fake. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
then if we have sold out, like, we can just say, oh, this one's a fake. After it's sold, obviously. Not beforehand. We'll just keep quiet on it. And then once it sells for, you know...
Yeah, we'll edit
Millions.
this bit out.
Yeah, we'll let this part out. We'll be planning our future...
Yeah. A future cash grab.
all the good... we'll have to come up with a stupid name for it. All the good, like, stupid names for, like, an obvious NFT scam, I feel like have already been taken. We'll have to call it, like... We could call it, like, Bathroom Fan.
Bathroom.
And then we've edited that part out so no one will understand it, and it'll
Still
be
better than
plausible
Dogecoin.
deniability.
Still better than Dogecoin.
Yeah, exactly. Oh god. Yeah, that
Yikes.
went.
Yikes.
Yeah. we'll just find another ancient meme to dig up from the.
We could call it Cash Coin. Like it's like a cat. Or actually no, not family.
That's
cats.
been taken.
Cash
That,
Coin.
there's 100% like we could call it like I don't know, checksum coin.
I was thinking about not this specific thing the other day, but you know, this with the prevalence of scams. And I was actually watching a video from the one and only Jerry Rig Everything just before we started recording, where he basically he messaged one of the Telegram scammers in his comments.
Oh, nice.
And like initially pretended to be a viewer, and then basically, eventually he offered this person money to basically tell him, you know, what his business model was. And it was actually super interesting. But I don't know. I do sometimes like
If you
wish
ever worry-
wish is the wrong word. Wish is the wrong word. But I sometimes go, oh god, I wonder what it'd be like to just have like, I don't know, no scruples and just be like perfectly okay sleeping at night and looking at myself in the mirror knowing that I make a living by scamming people out of money. Because like
It's
I mean
a tough one.
it probably isn't super easy, but like there's so many stupid people in the world.
feel
It
like-
seems like there's like such easy targets, but
I feel like while you are making the money, you'd maybe feel like good about it, assuming you had no like scruples about doing it. But then I feel like maybe a little bit down the line, you get to the point where you realize that like you realize what everyone thought of you, and maybe as you got older, you'd be like, oh, this is like I think it would be when you realize that you got to the point of no return, because like there's certain people right where it's like they've scammed people to such an extent that like there's no real like redemption for them. Like there's always going to be a large group of people that see them as like, you know, just a scammer threat. And I feel like at that point, that's when you'd be like, oh dear, I've kind of screwed this up a little bit. But then if you had no scruples, I guess you wouldn't care anyway.
yeah, I mean if you just like, I don't know. It's an
I feel like,
interesting
you know,
one.
at least if we were going to scam people, we'd do it earnestly. Like we'd make it would be like we'd make a product. We'd deliver a shoddy product at least. Like that's the minimum.
I think we'd have to start a cult or something.
I think we'd, well, no, because I feel like we'd at least deliver some of something, right? So, like, even if you joined the cult, hypothetically, right, you'd get some kind of merch, albeit poor quality, and, like, you know, maybe not everyone gets one, and they don't all, like, they're not all from the same production runs, they're kind of slightly different colours, but, like, you get something.
Yeah.
Like, we'd give you that much.
Yeah.
Like, there'd be some effort into it. It's a bit like whenever we start designing something and we're like, oh, this is just like a fun throwaway project.
Can you be
and then,
can
like,
you be an ethical scammer? Is it a scam if you have no? It's not a scam if you've got good intentions, is it?
I don't know. What about like Elizabeth Holmes?
I don't
Did
think.
did she have
good intentions? Will we ever know?
Who's to say? You know, will Laserdisc ever come back?
Oh, we've come full circle. We've come full circle.
Will our podcast ever be on Laserdisc?
Will it ever be on Laserdisc? If this video can get 1 million likes.
What, guys, would it be a scam if we were to release episode 1 on Laserdisc and like it looked like a Laserdisc, right? Was like the right materials and stuff, but we counted on no one ever playing it, and it wouldn't actually work. Like there was no data on it. It just looked like there was.
But what if Alec from Technology Connections or whatever his name is from TechMoan decides to be a fan of our podcast?
Yeah,
then we're getting publicly exposed. That's the word that everybody scramble checksum exposed.
Fake Laserdisc scandal.
Yeah.
I'd go down in a blaze of glory, honestly, if that was.
Now I've heard that. You know what, guys?
Honestly,
let us know.
Yeah.
Would you buy a Laserdisc of the unreleased or possibly released pilot episode of our podcast? Let us know in the comments down below.
In a dead format that doesn't work.
And on that note, I think it is probably time to wrap this episode up. Even though we did have some further discussion things, but we can leave it to a future podcast.
I got other fans in my house, that we didn't even get round to.
We could talk for days. I've got a fan right next to me right now. It's not on because it's winter and it snowed.
There
today.
We go. Right, we'll wrap it up there in that case. Thank you for listening. Please do the actions that will praise our almighty algorithms. Download our new chatbot coming by the next episode. What it does is it takes your query, formats it as an Ask Jeeves search, and then installs numerous toolbars in your browser to speed up your workflow and help you generate more helpful prompts for your other AI services.
Including automatically leaving a comment and liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel, following us on your podcast platform of choice, and telling all your friends and family about it, and emailing them and forwarding it in one of those long, pretentious, horrible chains of emails.
Yep, again, our chatbot will generate those for you. Please do keep an eye out.
Yeah. So thank you very much for listening. We do hope you return at the regularly scheduled time when we release these, which we haven't decided yet. But until you do, I've been Ethan.
I've been Kieran, and if I don't see you next time, and you don't share this podcast to at least 10 other people, then you will have bad luck for the next 11 years.
Whew, that's harsh. You better come back next time. Okay. Goodbye.
Bye.